Hello friends, and hello Iris. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is gonna be a end of the year book tag, and if you're asking why I have Iris here, I just got home and she's usually really clingy when she's home by herself and I get home from work, so that's why she's on my lap. But if you're new here, hello, my name is Patty. I make book and lifestyle content, so if you're into that, please like and subscribe. I would love to have you here. But anyway, let's get started with the questions. And I guess before I start, shout out to Destiny Sidwell for this video idea. Her subscribers sent in these questions that I'm going to be answering, and I'm not going to be answering all of them just because I don't want to be repetitive with the books that I talk about. But shout out to her and her subscribers for the video idea and the questions. So let's get started. Question number 1, most disappointing read of the year. So this definitely isn't an unpopular opinion, but I would have to say A Court of Silver Flames. Personally, I didn't love Nesta's character, and I don't think her character development was worth that much in the book. I mean, I feel like the plot in general was exciting, but I feel like different aspects of the book, including, you know, very many scenes that were in that book were just too much and a little overdone. And I honestly didn't love reading it. I would say that was my most disappointing read of the year. And did I not enjoy it? No, like I did enjoy reading it, but personally I just feel like it was unnecessary, and I don't know. I definitely could have done without reading the entire ACOTAR series. Like I would have been fine just reading the first 3, to be honest. Question number 2, Underdog Book of the Year. So I actually did a reading vlog on this book, and shout out to Book of the Month because this was actually the first Book of the Month book that I got. And it is Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. So this is an October book of the month, so it's like spooky vibes. It's a gothic fiction, and this is the first gothic fiction novel that I've ever read, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I just thought the characters were realistic in the sense that they weren't very black or white. They were very gray characters because of the fact that they were flawed in so many ways, but they had so many redeemable factors in my opinion. And even if like the main character, Opal, like she was a messed up person, went through a lot of really horrible things, and like the town definitely didn't help with any of those things. You know, how is she gonna get over that? How is she gonna do that while also protecting her brother, and while also chasing her want and need and dream to see the Starling House and be involved in what it is? But you know, I really enjoyed this book. I recommend it. If you want to know what it's about, want to see a reading vlog for it, I have one on the channel if you're interested. The next question is a book that was overhyped. So this is definitely another, I would guess, popular / unpopular opinion. So I did enjoy the Cruel Prince trilogy, but in my opinion, it was kind of portrayed by fans and like people on BookTube, Book Talk, as something that it wasn't. So it was definitely a folk fantasy, did have a sprinkle of romance in there, but some people were just presenting it as a full-on romance, and in my opinion, it wasn't. And I guess that in particular, like whatever, I didn't mind it. Like I enjoyed the book, but I do feel like it was overhyped for that reason in particular, and that just wasn't what it was. So because of that reason, the Cruel Prince trilogy is a book that was overhyped in my opinion. Next question, favorite book couples of the year. So this is hard because I read ACOTAR, Throne of Glass, and Fourth Wing this year. And all 3 are like the 3 best like book couples I've ever read literally in my entire life. So 2023 was an amazing read year for me. Breaking it down by couples, I do have to say, because of my personal love for communication and healthy relationships, I do have to pick Feyre and Rhysand, just because I feel like almost immediately, like once, well, I feel like almost immediately their relationship became very healthy. Like they were really good at communicating, which I love. I mean, I know we all love reading about toxic relationships because it's like fun to read about, but their communication was just so good, and like they were just so good for each other, and like such good people, and like neither of them really annoyed me. However, I don't think that's the case for Aelin and Rowan in Throne of Glass. So I love them as a couple. Like I do think they are a very strong couple and they're very good for each other. However, I personally don't love Aelin so much just because she keeps so many people that she cares about out of the loop of such important things, and therefore I'm just like, no, that is not good communication. I do love them together, however, they are not my favorite couple. I do think they're made for each other though. And then last but not least, Violet and Xaden. I love them so much. Literally, like, they are so amazing together. However, I do think they have a lot of communication problems. But yeah, I just feel like they don't communicate the best way, and I do love them together though. That's the case for all of these couples. Like, I do really, really, really love them together, but my favorite is still Feyre and Rysand. Best adaptation of the year definitely has to go to The Hunger Games Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, just because it was technically the only adaptation that I read this year that turned into a movie. I did do a reading vlog and movie review, spoiler free, for this book and movie, and you guys should go watch that. But either way, I do think it was well done. Do I think they completely stuck to the book and the way that I feel like it should have been portrayed? No. But is that the case for almost every book that turns into a movie? Also no. So, you know, can't be mad. It was good. Tom Blythe, love him. Rachel Zegler, love her. They slay. Hunter Schafer, love her. Literally everyone in this movie was so awesome. Longest book you read this year. So this is gonna have to go to A Court of Silver Flames. And this book was, as you can see, she is thick. 751 pages. That is how long A Court of Silver Flames is, and I read the entire thing. And I know for almost a fact that next year, the largest book that I read that year, and I will have read to date, will be Kingdom of Ash, because I think it's over 900 pages. And yeah, I have never read a book that big, and I'm definitely going to read it next year, just because I, this year, finished every single book in the Throne of Glass series except for Kingdom of Ash, which is the last one. But yeah, for now, 751 pages is the largest. The shortest book you read this year. So this is a hard one, because do I count novellas? Because if we're considering A Court of Frost and Starlight, that technically would be the shortest one. But if we're not considering novellas, then I think Queen of Nothing from the Cruel Prince trilogy technically is the shortest one. And that is 305 pages. So I guess I'll consider Queen of Nothing to be the shortest book I read this year. Favorite cover of the year. This is really hard because fantasy books in general always just have like the most beautiful covers ever. And 99% of the books that I read this year were fantasy. So I'm gonna have to go with Iron Flame. And let me just go grab that for you because it is on my nightstand because I'm currently reading it. Look at how beautiful this is. Like, the fact that it's metallic and it has, you know, the black amongst the red and the black and the gold. It's just so beautiful. And like, the side is just as beautiful. It's my favorite. And I'm on page like 250 or something right now, and it's so good. Literally yesterday, I was reading it just like on the couch in the living room, and I'm home alone because my roommates are now home for the holidays. But it's so funny. I wish I recorded my reactions while I was reading this, but I literally like every chapter was like gasping at something that happened. It was crazy. I definitely think this is gonna be a 5-star read. It's so good. A book that you haven't stopped thinking about. So, going along with Iron Flame, this is definitely going to have to go to Fourth Wing and A Court of Mist and Fury, which is the second book in the ACOTAR series, if you don't know, but I'm sure you know, because if you're on Book Talk, you've probably read ACOTAR, but those two books literally live in my mind rent-free. I'm constantly thinking about them, like definitely top 2 books of the year. They were so amazing, and I will never stop thinking about them. Like, I just ordered stickers off of Etsy for Fourth Wing because, and I never do that. I never buy stickers off Etsy. I usually buy stickers at like a store or like a shop that I see them on like every so often when I go to a store that somehow has stickers or something. But I bought stickers off Etsy for Fourth Wing, and I don't know where I'm going to put them, but they're going to be somewhere, and their Fourth Wing is taking over my life. What was the highest and lowest rated books you read this year on Goodreads, and do you agree? So let's go to my Goodreads. And if we go to read, average rating. So, this is kind of funny. A Court of Mist and Fury and Fourth Wing, which I just talked about. A Court of Mist and Fury is average rating 4.64 stars, which is the #1 spot in my read. And then Fourth Wing is 4.63, which is the second spot for, top 2, which I just said were my top 2 books of the year. And then going down to the bottom, okay, once again, talking about novellas, A Court of Frost and Starlight is the lowest rated for this year, which I don't disagree, because I didn't love it. I didn't think it was necessary. I definitely could have skipped the book and felt completely fine, going on. Especially because of the fact that I said before, I could have read the first 3 books and would have been, completely happy. But is it fair to consider that a book when it's more of a transition between books, But if we're considering that, yes, it's the lowest. If not, Starling House is the lowest rated, which is, okay, so Court of Frost and Starlight, 3.78 stars, and then Starling House, 3.89 stars. So, I agree with the highest rated. I disagree with the lowest rated if we're considering Starling House. If we're considering A Court of Frost and Starlight, sure, I'll consider it. So, yes, I guess I agree. Book that you read that you would reread. Literally any of the ACOTAR or Fourth Wing books. I definitely want to reread A Court of Mist and Fury and Fourth Wing next year. Even though I just read Fourth Wing, I feel like I could reread it right now. No joke. I would reread it right now. Those 2 books, like I said before, cannot stop thinking about them. And I do plan to reread them next year. Reading goal reflection and 2024 reading goal. So 2023, my goal was to read 12 books, so 1 book a month. And I set that goal when I wasn't reading at the same pace as I am now, and before, I reignited my passion for reading. So if I would think now what my goal was, I probably would have set it to 15, because once again, I was in school, I have a full-time job now, I can't read all day every day. I wish I could. But yeah, so I would have set it to 15 if I knew by the end of this year I would be reading as much books as I have. But, I passed my goal of 12 books. I read 18 books so far, and I'm going to go on to 19 with Iron Flame. And who knows, maybe I'll read another book after that before 2024. But odds are I'm only going to get up to 19. But with all of that in mind, I think my goal for next year is going to be either 20 or 25. Maybe I'll do 24. No, I'll do 25. Because I could definitely do at least 2 books a month and then 1 sprinkled in there, So I could do it. I'm going to put 25 as my goal for next year. After 2023 reading, what are you prioritizing in 2024 reading-wise? So one of my priorities is to read, you can probably see right here, Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I definitely am going to put that on the top of my TBR for 2024. And then Divine Rivals. Definitely going to be on my top of my TBR again for 2024. And actually, Ruthless Vows, which is the second book to Divine Rivals, comes out on the 26th. Today is the 20th, so that comes out in 6 days. So I think I'm going to try to read this first. This is going to be maybe the first book I read in 2024. And then read Ruthless Vows, and then read Powerless. And then it's kind of just open-ended from there. But one other priority I want to have for 2024 is to branch out from fantasy, because like I said before, basically every single book I read this year was a fantasy novel. So, still gonna read mostly fantasy probably, but I want to branch out into thrillers. I do have some thrillers on my shelf that I bought to attempt to get myself to read thrillers by the end of this year. That did not happen, but it will next year. I want to read some romances as well. I also bought 7 Year Slip. You can see it right there, the yellow cover. And then, just read more fun books, fun series, and maybe sprinkle some nonfiction in there if we want to get crazy. But yeah. So those are my goals, and those are all the questions that I have for myself today. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment down below what your top 3 books of the year were, and who knows, maybe I'll be inspired to read them. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.